Hi! So we've been learning this weekend theme all about Autumn Peltier. And here she is right here. And to start off, I want you to see if you can remember what we learned about her on Tuesday. So there were some videos. What do you remember? What is her important work? Do you remember how old she was when she started doing her work? She was 8. So when we're learning about someone, we can read many different books, we can look on the internet, we can watch videos. There's lots of places where we can learn about those people. So far we've watched a couple of videos, and I also have some books that I want to share. I won't share all of them with you right now, but this is a book that I'm going to read. It's got a few pages about Autumn in it, and I think they're important and they really describe her work well. So I'm going to read this one to you. So you can get comfy, just sit back. There's not a whole lot of pictures in this book, but I'll show you the pictures when we come to them. There's more words, so you'll just want to get comfy so that you can listen to me read to you. Autumn Peltier, and it says here, water protector. Remember those words we said? Clean water advocate, water warrior, water protector, this one says. Autumn Peltier speaks for the water. She has spoken to world leaders at the United Nations. Remember, that's a place where people come and have really important meetings, people from all around the world. And she has inspired young people around the world to stand up and fight for environmental rights, to take care of the earth. Her activism is deeply connected to her culture. She believes that water is sacred and that it deserves the same rights that people have, right, to be taken care of. Safe drinking water is essential for all people, yet many First Nations in Canada still do not have it. Remember, the First Nations would be like our American Indians or our Native Americans. Some of these indigenous communities have been without safe drinking water for decades. Dozens have drinking water advisories. The water that comes out of their taps is murky, that means dirty, and must be boiled before it is safe to drink. When Autumn learned about this situation, she had a lot of questions. If the water could make people sick, would it make animals sick too? Autumn is from Wemekong unceded territory on Manitoulin Island in northern Ontario, Canada. She was born in 2004 and began speaking up in her community when she was 8 years old. At age 10, she took part in a cultural camp that focused on teaching young people about the land. And through that camp, she was invited to attend, and I'll tell you that in a minute. Okay, so remember she went to this camp. She was invited to attend the Children's Climate Conference in Sweden. That's another country. Kids and teens from more than 30 countries came together to write a list of demands to world leaders, and their message was delivered at the 2015 United Nations Climate Change Conference in Paris. This is really, really important work. When Autumn got home from that trip, she was invited to the Assembly of First Nations, where she gave a speech about the importance of protecting the water. She was already becoming known as a passionate young activist and an inspiring speaker. There she is giving a speech. In 2016, Autumn released a video in solidarity with the Standing Rock Sioux tribe and their supporters in the United States who were fighting against the construction of an oil pipeline. The pipeline would cross under the Missouri River. So there was a river, and the pipeline was going to get buried underneath the river, which is the main source of drinking water for Standing Rock Sioux and the millions of people who live downstream. And so people were worried that with that pipeline going under the river, where that was a source of drinking water, that pipelines sometimes leak. And if it leaked into that water, it could contaminate the drinking water for lots and lots of people. The protesters were defending their treaty rights in sacred lands and protecting the water, which could be contaminated by the pipeline. And here's a picture of them protesting for that. And they have signs that say, water is life, water is sacred, Mother Earth matters. I am just a kid, 12 years old, and I shouldn't be worrying about adult problems, Autumn said in her video. Kids all over the world have to pay for mistakes we didn't even make. We are the next elders. We are the next leaders. This is our future. I cry watching videos of Standing Rock. We are only given one planet and we are destroying it. I want us to stand together, and we are going to shut down all the highways in North America for a whole hour on December 5th. I am inviting everyone to join us. Bring your shaker, bring your drums, bring your vessels, bring your feathers. Let's pray together. So that was a form of protest that they were creating, where they were going to protest in the highways, and then it would close them and people would really get to hear their message. On December 5th, Autumn stood on the highway with her mother and others from her community to create awareness for water and to support those protesting at Standing Rock. Autumn was invited to meet the Canadian Prime Minister, Justin Trudeau. She had been chosen to present a traditional water bundle to him. She spent 3 days preparing a speech, but she was given only a brief moment to hand Trudeau the gift. Standing in front of him, she began thinking about the governor's decision to approve the expansion of the Trans Mountain pipeline. So he approved something that would make another pipeline bigger. Instead of the words she had planned, she said, I am not happy with the decisions you've made for my people. I understand that, the Prime Minister said. Autumn started to cry. And we got to see that moment in a video. Remember, we saw her handing the gift to Justin Trudeau, the Prime Minister, and we saw her with those tears. And she had some other elders with her, and if you remember that moment from the video. Autumn started to cry. The pipelines, she said. I will protect the water, Trudeau said. She handed him the water bundle, a copper bowl, a red cloth, tobacco, and a small copper cup. The incident made headlines. I would like to see Prime Minister Justin Trudeau carry on with the promise he made me, Autumn said afterward. The next year, Autumn was nominated for the International Children's Peace Prize. That's a really famous award to get. It's amazing if you get that award. So she was nominated. That meant she was one of the people that they thought should receive it. Then came an opportunity that neither she nor her mother had dreamed of. Autumn was invited to speak to world leaders at the United Nations as part of the launch for UN's International Decade for Action on Water for Sustainable Development. So they invited her to come to the United Nations, and we talked about that before. It's a place where leaders from countries all over the world come together and have meetings and make important decisions for the world. So she was invited to go and speak there. And when the invitation, this is silly, when the invitation arrived by email, it was so unexpected that Autumn's mother thought it was a scam and almost deleted it. It's a really, really important honor, a big, big honor to be asked to come speak at the United Nations. And Autumn, as a kid, was asked to do that. Her work was so amazing and impacting so many people already. Autumn and her mother booked a flight from Toronto, where they lived, to New York. But it was canceled 3 times. Oh my gosh, their flight was canceled 3 times? Instead, they drove for 15 hours to New York City, wearing a special dress made by her mother's friend from Thunder Bay and standing on a stool behind the podium so she could reach the microphone. The 13-year-old told the audience of international dignitaries, that means international leaders, that it was time to warrior up to protect the water. Many people don't think water is alive or has a spirit, Autumn said. My people believe this to be true. Our water deserves to be treated as human, with human rights. We need to acknowledge our waters with personhood so we can protect our waters. Autumn wasn't nervous. She felt that people there wanted to hear what she had to say, and she used the opportunity to call for international leaders to take a stand. And there's a picture of her behind the podium and with her special dress, giving her important speech. No one should have to worry if the water is clean or if they will run out of water. No child should grow up not knowing what clean water is or never know what running water is, right? Some people don't have running water in their homes. They have to fetch water from creeks or streams or wells, and they have to walk and carry water. And if that water if that source where they're getting their water from gets polluted, they don't have clean water. That's not right. Autumn says, we all have a right to clean water as we need it. Not just rich people, all people. She ended with this heartfelt message. One day I will be an ancestor, and I want my great-grandchildren to know I tried hard to fight so they can have clean drinking water. So she wants to preserve the water on our planet for everyone in the future. One of the people who inspired Autumn was her great-aunt Josephine. In 2003, Josephine began walking around the 5 Great Lakes with a group of Anishinaabe women and men who called themselves Mother Earth Walkers. They wanted to raise awareness about how the water was being neglected and to help people understand the importance of protecting it. And there they are walking. Now, the Great Lakes are really, 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 really big lakes. If you were to stand on the shore of one of the Great Lakes, it would look like the ocean. You wouldn't be able to see the other side. That's how big they are. So that was to walk around them. There's 5 of them together. To walk around them would be a very long journey. And it says here that Josephine, so her Aunt Josephine, walked over 17,000 miles and inspired many others to walk and take action to protect water. In 2016, she received the Ontario Heritage Award for Excellence in Conservation. Autumn's mother, Stephanie, has also been an important influence. Stephanie's parents, Autumn's grandparents, are survivors of the residential school system. For many years, generation after generation of Indigenous children in Canada were taken away from their families and communities and forced to attend boarding schools run by the government. And they spent their childhood years far from their homes. And they were punished if they tried to speak their language or practice their traditions. When they returned home as young adults, it was hard for them to feel like they belonged. Indigenous communities are still healing from the harm caused by those schools. As a result of her family's history and experiences, Stephanie, remember that's Autumn's mom, wanted to raise Autumn and her sisters with a strong sense of their identity and culture. In Anishinaabe tradition, women hold the primary role in looking after water and protecting it. Autumn explains that women are givers of life and that all life needs water. Women are sacred vessels. They carry the water for 9 months while babies are in the womb, and so we all come from that sacred water, she says. We wouldn't be able to live without water. Nothing would. Autumn is a busy teenager. She hangs out with her friends and family. She enjoys painting and writing in her journal. She loves running and is on a competitive gymnastics team. She attends traditional ceremonies and dances and powwows. She plays with her dogs, Jax, a husky wolf cross, and Montgomery, an American bulldog. And she deals with regular kid problems like coping with bullying at school. But she is deeply committed to protecting water. She has received many awards for her activism. She was honored by the Assembly of First Nations as a water protector, given the Sovereign's Medal for Volunteers by Ontario's Lieutenant Governor, and honored as a water leader by Ottawa Riverkeeper. Those all sound like really important things. She has been nominated twice for the International Children's Peace Prize. Autumn's influential... Oh, did I not show you a picture there? Here's a picture. Autumn's influential voice and deeply felt words have reached millions, raising awareness about the importance of water and the need to protect it. Because of her, many people have been inspired to step forward, speak up, and take action. Autumn says that she will continue being an activist for the rest of her life. And she encourages other young people to join her. That's you, other young people. Anybody could do this work, she says. If we all come together, we can hopefully make a big change. Yeah. So when people work together, sometimes it's easier for change to happen. Okay. So I know that was some more. That was long. Thanks for hanging in there. I know it was probably hard to listen for that long. But that's Autumn Peltier. She's amazing, important, wonderful, doing so much to try and protect clean water for the inhabitants of our world, for her community, for people outside her community, for people that aren't even born yet, for people who will live in the future. So let me show you what we'll do today. So go ahead and get your book that looks like this. And we're going to turn to the Autumn Peltier page, which is right here. And now last time you wrote her name up at the top and you did your picture. Now it's time down here to do your words. Okay? It says, Autumn Peltier is a mover and shaker because... Remember what it means to be a mover and shaker? It means that you're someone who's changing the world. You're making a difference in the world. Okay? You're doing important work for the world. So why is she a mover and shaker? What does she do? Pretend that you're writing this so someone who's never heard about her before, someone who's never watched a video, never read a book, has no idea who she is wondering, who is she? What is her important work? Autumn Peltier is a mover and shaker because, what does she do? She protects water, right? She fights for clean water. Yeah, those are things you could write. So here's what I want. If you were here last year, I want you to finish this sentence and then write one more. So I want you to write 2 sentences about her. So you might say something like, Autumn Peltier is a mover and shaker because she protects water. And then I want you to write another sentence about something that she's done, okay? If you are someone who's new this year, I want you to, you can finish this sentence up. And then if you're up for the challenge, write another one. But I want you to finish this one for sure. And then think about, do you have more to say? Do you want to say more? You can if you want to. But also if you feel like after you do finish this one sentence, if you feel done, that's okay. Okay, so remember, you're going to finish it. It's already started for you. Autumn Peltier is a mover and shaker because, and then you're going to finish it, because, and then you're going to write what her important work is, sound out your words, put a period at the end. Okay? If you were here last year, then I definitely want you to write one more sentence giving some details about her work. And if this is your first year, then you can think about, is that all I want to say? Is there more I want to say? If there is, go ahead, great. If not, that's okay too. Okay, so go ahead and get a pencil, think about what you want to say, and get to work. When you finish this, you have a job to do. Okay? It's great for us to learn about these people, and I really want so many people in the world to know about the important work of Autumn, right? So what I want you to do when you're finished is I want you to take this and share it with someone in your family. Who can you share this with? Who can you teach about Autumn and her important work? You could maybe call a family member like a grandma or grandpa. If you have a housemate or a landmate, you could teach them. If you have a brother or sister, you could teach them. You could, anyone that you can think of that doesn't know about Autumn, you could teach. I want you to say, hey, this is a really important person. Her name is Autumn. Here's my picture, and this is why she's important. This is the work that she's doing. She's a mover and shaker. Okay? So you have a little bit of writing to do, and then you need to teach someone about Autumn. Okay. That's your important work for today. Okay, go ahead and get to work on that. See you later.